Unfortunately, had a bit of a technical issue. Got disconnected, and yeah, we've missed the start of the race. Seems like we're joining the action at the start of lap 1, lap 2. Nismax currently in the lead. Docky at the moment running around in second. We had a very wet qualifying session. It was very difficult to get to grips with the conditions, but now seems to be a dry track, dry conditions. Some of the guys that battled in qualifying may find their feet in the race. Talkie down through the famous corkscrew. At a rather famous venue for this race, Laguna, Seca. Rich history in a lot of forms of motorsport. Unfortunately, F1 never made an appearance around Laguna, Seca. Not for a race, anyway. Because the lap record around Laguna Seca was actually set by a Ferrari test driver, I think it was Mark Genet. That's something like a 107 or a 108. That was set in the early 2000s on a when F1 cars were still allowed to test. Watching TnB, was he in third place? Actually his debut tonight on Project Cars. Currently in third place, having a better time of it than what he did in qualifying. Behind him in fourth place, TnB. Got the two TnBs in third and fourth. Then 10 seconds down the road, we've got Seca, currently in fifth. It's followed closely in sixth by Wimpy. Then down to seventh, there's quite the gap between sixth and seventh. It's a minute. That's Gavin in seventh place. So obviously having some dramas at the beginning of the race, finding himself down the order. We'll go to our leader on lap 4, Nismax. And a strong showing so far as he begins lap 5. TnB was he making up some ground now. He's moved up into second place. And I don't seem to see TnBDW. He's disappeared from my timing screen. See if we can get any communication from him. Not sure what happened there. Seems like there's a few issues floating around.
Mr. J-Man?
TnBDW. How's it going? What happened there?
My
gone.
engine blew.
Your engine blew or your connection blew?
No, my engine. It's physical engine failure.
Really? On lap 5?
Yep. Yep.
Well, that's Project Cars 2 unforgiving, right? Seems like we've just lost another runner. Just lost another runner. We're down to 5 runners now. So now, what do you do to blow a motor, and how do you avoid it? Can you avoid it?
Yeah, I think it was just the setup was just way too aggressive, so I didn't take in consideration that my engine might overheat in the longer running.
Well, we're down to 5 runners. Nismac still leads. That's your teammate, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, I've lost my team names from my screen. I had them last week.
What happened to the rest of the guys?
Not really sure. It doesn't give you a lot of time. In other games, if somebody retires, you can quickly go to their screen and see what happened. But yeah, it seems like the moment it happens, the guy disappears from track. So you don't. Just says DW has retired, and what was the other guy? Griffin. It also just says Griffin retired. It doesn't give a reason. Under your name, it also doesn't give a reason. It just says retired.
Well, what Death Wimps, I think it's Death Seca and Wimpy's team name, they actually look quite strong for points, 3rd and 4th.
Going to join me in spectator mode, or are you going to sit in silence? You're going to join me?
No, I'm joining you.
Ah, there we go.
I have a cup of coffee ready for me.
100%. This is a long race.
Yes.
It's good to have somebody to talk rubbish to, rather than talk rubbish to yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I see Nismax is already pulling away like massively.
Absolutely, he's very quick in this game, as he is in most motor racing games, or all motor racing games. Similar to another driver that we don't have yet tonight is Munna, also
Oh yeah.
having issues with internet being installed, I believe. But as soon as he's back, you'll see that he's one of the quicker drivers, regardless of the format.
I'm just trying to see the reasons of why the other guys disconnected.
There's Max's lead in the front now, up to 20 seconds. So having a great time in the opening 8 laps. Just 10 minutes down. It's a short circuit, so I think we could see quite a high number of laps. Not going to predict them because I usually get it wrong.
So I see Griffin went to the pits and then he got disqualified.
Strange.
I wonder if he had some penalties or something, or didn't, or speed in pit lane.
But TnB was he on a race he was pretty concerned about, and he finds himself in second place. Wouldn't be a bad debut.
No, not at all.
Use one of the drivers on a controller on this game. So, rather brave thing to do.
Yeah, him and Death Seeker and Wimpy. Gav got a corner big time there. Well, he didn't cut it actually, outbraked himself, and then the corkscrew caught him out.
Well, it's better than what I saw. I saw him float into the air.
I wonder if it was maybe a lag spike or something. Let's see, Death Seeker put on the fastest lap of a 127.7. So he's flying. Actually starting to catch up Wazzy.
127.7. Some good pace there. He's what, 13 seconds behind Wazzy?
Yes.
Keep an eye on that.
Consistently. Almost 12 seconds now.
And obviously these endurance races start to get really interesting when the pit stops start coming into it and when the strategy starts coming into it, because guys are out of sync, and it could be luck of the draw on what tire you're going to land up on and what condition it's going to be in at the end of the race. So you got to
definitely.
Also got to think about the time, and well, you got to balance your worry about track position and time. It's not all about track position.
No, this is all about keeping it clean. Obviously, pace is always a major factor, but
pace is important, but
yeah, it's not the only factor in endurance
pace
racing.
is important, but it's an hour and a half, and you basically want to do that hour and a half with as little damage and as little stops as possible. And if you can do that and you can stay out of trouble, I think you'll already find a few places that way.
Nico said, which is Griffin, that apparently the Wimpy crashed into him at the start, and that's why I had to go and pit. So obviously we'll have a look at that at the end of the race, see what happens.
Obviously everything can be sent to the stewards. If you have the footage, send it to the stewards and they'll have a look at it.
Yeah, I'm just having a look here and see what the people are saying. People saying it's unfair what happened, but it's part of racing. Obviously crashes happen, and if there's an incident to be reported, it needs to be exactly that needs to be done. It needs to be reported and then dealt with accordingly.
There's nothing we can do about it during the race. And these things do happen in motor racing, even if it's real motor racing or if it's just a game. Sometimes there's collisions, human error, and there's only so much you can do about it, really. That's what it comes down to, is human error.
Yeah, that's it. It's not AI. We're not racing against AI. Stuff does happen. And unfortunately some people don't like it when they are being investigated.
So obviously having a few technical issues on my side. We're still live, so that's a good thing. But if you see a car float around every now and then, my apologies.
Okay, let me concentrate on what's the racing instead of my phone. Sorry for that unprofessionalism.
Another problem. I try not to look at the phone. But it's actually difficult because then I get to the end of the stream and people have sent messages on YouTube like 2 hours ago and nobody responded.
You can see Gav's definitely got some aero damage on his right hand side of his car. This race is going to be a long one for them. I think the best is between second and Yeah, I must say I'm quite disappointed about my engine blowing up. Didn't expect that
Oh,
so
neither
quickly,
did I.
especially.
When I asked you, I actually thought you were being sarcastic. That's why I asked you about your connection, because I was like, surely it's lap 5. What? But,
Yeah, it's terminal damage engine failure.
it's not something we're
On
used
this,
to from the other games. It's pretty unique to this one.
yeah, this one you can actually, in one of my endurance races I did with Muna, in the GTE series, is I actually had a clutch failure which I had to go and pit and get it repaired.
That must have been
Oh, batteries
a
off.
lengthy pit stop. Um, actually tuned in on Vimpy as he did that. I swear it's commentator's curse without me even saying anything. Every time I switch through the camera, somebody seems to, well, I was going to say go into the gravel, but is this gravel? I'm not sure
It's a
what it is.
sort of it's a weird compound. It's not gravel really because you have enough grip to get on, but obviously it slows you down quite as well. See when we're going for another spin,
Quite
but
a
Lambo
quite a
giving me a hard time.
quite a peculiar racetrack actually.
Now look, this is gonna be a difficult series. The thing is um, what we started with 8 drivers, 8 races, ended up very quickly with 5, an hour and a half to that race the endurance length.
That's right. And
So it makes things difficult.
last week in Italy, we started with 7, and we ended with, well, yourself and Nizmax, the 2 Audi drivers. So
Oh yes.
5
You mean in
retirements.
Alpine Classic?
Yeah, 5 retirements.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sorry, I'm getting my my commentary mixed up. There's too many.
Yeah, no, I think you just maybe got
I got
confused
I
with
got
our
I got
GTS.
confused with Thursday and Tuesday.
Yes, it happens. You have a lot of stats to keep yourself busy with. Just trying to see the gap. My maths isn't too good, so I must actually pull out a calculator and see what the... Is it still 13 seconds? What the between Seca and... Was he?
Gap there now. It's more.
18, yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, Seca is making some mistakes. It looks like the 2 Lamborghinis are having a difficult time with some turning. Understeering a lot. Maybe outbraking themselves a little bit.
Another thing we can start to look at is the fuel loads. Interesting there. Nizmax seems to have the most fuel. He's in the lead. We've got TnB Wazzy in second, Seca in third, both running pretty low fuel. Your pit stop coming there. Compy also pretty low, and then Gav running around on a full tank.
Yeah, I was also running on a full tank actually, planning to make no pit stops whatsoever. Unless the weather changed, obviously. My start wasn't the best. And a lot of people overtook me in the first couple of corners, so I started pushing Wazzy, so this would have helped me, but obviously, bad luck.
Max continues to extend that lead. Now almost 30 seconds, 28 to be exact.
He's going to be the guy to beat. He's also on a heavy fuel load, like you said.
Still got half a tank of fuel, so you can go pretty far into this race.
Oh, we'll see what is Gav doing.
Something I can't see here
I
is
think he's got
tires.
some damage. It looks. Yeah, I can't see tires as well. But is it me or looks like Gav is struggling?
Watching him now.
Doesn't see is the sound of the car doesn't sound like he's getting all the power he wants out of it. Don't know if it's maybe suspension or what.
Something's not right, and if you watch him into the corners, it looks a little bit tentative.
He's limping. Yeah, he's limping.
When he comes out of that corner, there's just no acceleration. Watch him now through a crucial part of the track.
Oh yeah, no, that's...
And definitely just not getting acceleration coming out of the corkscrew there at all. Something not right with that car.
Yeah, Seca coming up to lap him.
You can see on the race feed. On the race feed, Gavin did get a time penalty for track limits, so I wonder when he left the track, he may have got that damage.
If I look at Seca's racing line, in the last corner, if he just brakes a little bit earlier, we'll get a lot more turning and a better exit for that main straight. Then he'll definitely maybe catch up with Wazzy. Because he's going to have to think strategy-wise if he can't do it speed-wise.
That gap now 17 seconds. So Seca definitely does have pace.
I agree. He's not slow, not at all. He looks much more comfortable in the GT3 cars than in the Formula 1 cars.
Very different mechanics to the two games. Cars feel very different. And I suppose everyone's got a preference.
Yeah, definitely. You know what will actually be interesting? If we can actually crown our first TnB triple header champion. Champion in F1, champion in Gran Turismo, and a champion in Project Cars as well. That would be something.
That would be rather difficult.
Gav coming out of the pits.
If Robbie keeps on winning F1, then that will be impossible because he doesn't play the other two.
Oh, Gav. He basically break himself with a pit exit. Yeah, Rob is quick, but with a challenge like 2 times champion like Wazzy coming back into the seat as well is going to make it difficult.
Still going around there in second. I think he'll be pleased for a debut.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think with scoring no points because he couldn't make the race, it's starting to rain, Jonathan. Sorry.
I haven't. I see 1 or 2 drops actually on the screen, and now I do see a few drops coming down.
So this is where Nismax will score in the pit lane. He's keeping it clean, no damage on his car whatsoever. Very consistent.
Too much rain at Laguna Seca should make you nervous. Because I can actually tell you a fact about Laguna Seca that I doubt you'd know.
Tell me, shoot.
Laguna Seca, in Spanish, means dry lagoon. Because once upon a time all of this was underwater. It was a dam. Yeah, and this dam dried up and they built a track on it. So I think if you saw a lot of rain at Laguna Seca, you should get nervous.
Yes, and I noticed Wazzy's pace in the rain wasn't too exceptional. I see even Gav is almost unlapping himself there, 1 lap. And this is definitely, if Seca can keep it cool and calm, get the strategy right with the tires, then he can catch up with Wazzy, because I think he was actually faster than Wazzy in the rain qualifying.
Could definitely change everything up.
Yeah, making a pit stop. Want to make a pit stop? Sorry for interrupting.
Guys, sorry to bump in there. I just need some little bit of technical help. How do I select tires for my pit stop?
Okay, Wazzy, let me see if I can guide you quickly. You press the up D-pad, if I remember correctly, now with the controller. And then you must go to, I think, strategy. or car management. I think it's strategy, and then from there you select your tires. So if I could make a suggestion, change it to all dependent, weather dependent. That's an option that they can actually set it for you depending on the weather.
Keep talking, I need to get my charger.
No problem. So it's just with the D-pad and D-pad up if I remember correctly, and then you go to, I think it's car management or race strategy.
What is this? Fuel map, request pit stop, car management, race strategy.
I think race strategy.
Okay, race strategy. I've got adjust strategy, swap driver, select strategy.
Adjust strategy.
Let's negotiate the corner and I'll put it on my top.
We'll just wait for Found anything, was he?
Not yet. I'm still not a lot. Okay. Yeah, pressing buttons.
Yeah, no, it's a different way of doing it than the F1, obviously. Looks like Death Seeker pitted. He's in the pit lane. Actually, it looks like his pit crew is just standing and look. He's refueling actually.
Maybe gonna fill up the tank.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
See how far he can go.
Yeah. Okay, why is he standing still? Don't tell me he's stuck like in the line. Oh, there he goes, there he goes. Don't speed in the pit lane. Oh, he's crossing the lines. He's gonna get warning for that one. If I'm not mistaken, I got a warning for crossing that the lines there. You see Nismax also
See, don't go over the cones. There we go.
Nismax also refueling.
Not sure what happened to Nismax. He made a pit stop on the previous lap, and he didn't put any fuel in, and he didn't spend much time in the pits, and now he seems to be making his second consecutive pit stop, and this time he's put a lot of fuel in.
Why are you not changing tires? Sorry guys.
No problems with what he...
Got a problem here.
With these pits,
with TnB Wazzy currently in second place, having a bit of a problem with the communication between himself and his pit crew. Did he change his tires?
No, it doesn't look like it. It seems to me, I get confused with this view. Sorry, Jonathan. It just looks like the pit crew is doing nothing. So I don't know how to judge this.
Well, he has taken on a lot of fuel. That much we can see. But regarding his tires, I'm not sure if there was a change or not. It didn't seem like it. That is in the meantime promoted Death Seeker. He's now in second place. Where is TnB Wazzy? He's still coming out of that long pit exit.
Wimpy on him.
Oh, he comes out.
I hope he has wet tires. I can't tell. Oh no, if I look at that, it looks like he's struggling a little bit. Looks like Wimpy lost it somewhere. I wonder if there's standing water in some of those corners, because it seems like all of them are struggling at one particular corner. I think it's corner 3.
Best lap of the race so far was a 1:25.5. That surely won't be beaten with these declining weather conditions.
Well, if the timing screens are correct, then Wazi didn't lose too much time there. Obviously, he lost the position, but he's basically 10-11 seconds.
10 or 11 seconds behind Death Seeker. Now we're going to see how do these drivers' form translate to the weather.
See, Wazi doesn't pit, so it tells me that he's fit to change his tires. Unless he's trying to sort out communication problems.
I'm on the slicks. I'm on the slicks.
Wazi joins us from the cockpit of the BMW. Gav pits. Oh, Gav and Wimpy almost coming together in the pit lane.
Gavin's got the red marker next to his name, which means he's the only man so far to have got a penalty of some sort. Well, it's not a major one, it's just a 1 second time penalty. Couldn't have been very severe. Maybe just some corner cutting.
I think Gavin can be pretty lucky that Ferrari is not a front-mount engine, because that front doesn't look good at all.
Probably a good situation to have the engine behind you when you're bumping into things in front of you. We keep our eyes on that gap between second and third. It's increasing.
Yeah.
Substantially. It's up to 20 seconds now.
Death Seeker's doing a good job.
Seems like Wazi's coming into the pits. Hope he has better luck this time with the tyres.
See, Gav moved up to 4th. Wimpy has a drive-through penalty, track limits.
Want to take the... not sure if he took it already, but he'll want to make sure he takes that time penalty. Saw what happened last week.
Yeah, you could have a debut podium.
Debut podium.
Yeah.
Finished the race, but he didn't serve that penalty, and he didn't get the points.
If I look at his driving, he looks actually more comfortable in the wet conditions than in the dry conditions. Maybe a little bit more cautious, that's why.
I wonder now, is Nismax still gonna have the speed above everybody else in the wet conditions, or can somebody match him in the wet?
He was pretty quick in wet qualifying. The best I could do was 2 seconds off the pace, and I was second. Death Seeker was about 3 seconds, and I can see that gap's increasing.
27 seconds now. And then he's got 58 seconds cushion to Wazi behind him.
I didn't see Wazi go pit again. I just hope he's on the wet tires now. And hopefully, if it changes back to dry conditions, I hope his pit crew gets the right tires. I wonder if Jeff, he hasn't brought over Jeff from F1, Jonathan.
We are in the Canadian desert. So, or the Californian desert, my apologies. And shouldn't rain for this long.
This makes is keeping it very steady, very clean.
I can tell you that no resident of California would be impressed with me right now, confusing them for Canadian. It's probably.
Well, you would have been
It's
sentenced
probably
to death row.
it's probably one of the worst insults.
I'm gonna reserve comment. I think that's the best. Just for your sake,
Especially in California. I mean, not so long ago, their governor was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and he loves guns.
Wouldn't mess with a state that had a governor like that.
Sorry, he doesn't need guns. He's got 2 shotguns. Let's see who's doing what. There's Max still just keeping it clean. I wonder if Death Seeker is actually trying to catch him or just trying to keep it steady, keep it clean, trying to keep it ahead of Wazzy.
I think at this point in the race, still 50 minutes remaining, still such a long time. We're only a third of the distance, basically, just over a third. I think, well, I can't tell you what the driver's thinking, but I think, you know, second place is a great position at this point in the race, and just keep the car in a straight line.
Yeah.
Don't damage anything, and the weather could still roll the dice one more time. So not really sure what's to come in the next 50 minutes.
I'm trying to see. Don't see anybody. I think everybody's just taking it easy because we all know the pit stops in endurance racing takes a lot longer than our F1 pit stops. Yeah, you can actually be lapped quite easily if you go make a pit stop.
If you actually watch TnB Wazzy, that gap to Death Seeker, it was 58 seconds not so long ago. It's now 51.6. So it's definitely catching. He's definitely catching Death Seeker in second place.
Well, that means he's starting to get the feel of it because he struggled a little bit in qualifying, but we all know Wazzy, once he gets the feel of the car, and then he's pretty quick. Doesn't matter in what format he races.
In third place, a minute and a half adrift of Nismax. A minute and a half is not a long time in endurance racing, and it can flip very quickly. You have an off,
Yeah,
you have an off, go off circuit, damage the car, leads to a lengthy pit stop, and yeah, you could lose a lap and a half, even 2. So
especially wet conditions corkscrew, very easy to lose it there. Especially if there's some standing water. I can't see anything on the track at the moment. I don't know if this is wet or intermediate type weather. It looks pretty wet and windy, especially. It looks very windy.
just gonna ride on board cockpit view with Nismax, get a feeling for what he can see, and I tell you, if this is what I could see, I wouldn't be in cockpit view right now. Doesn't look too good.
Awesome.
With the Seca now in second place. Also windscreen heavily damaged, can't see much out of there.
Oh, Bumpy, just make space for the leader, please.
Going on board now with Wazzy. He's probably got the worst cockpit view out of all. He's only got about half of his windscreen. because the rest is covered by his bonnet.
I actually like that, to be honest. It's for me easier personally. If you can see your bonnet, it's easier to find the apex for me.
Because the bonnet's quite high up. It seems to be blocking the apex of some corners. Gavin going around in fourth. 2.5 minutes adrift of your leader, Nizmax. Having a difficult start to the race, and it's been recovery the whole way.
If I look at a difficult view for me personally in the cockpit, it's the two Lambos. I'll struggle to judge where the front wheels are. You can't really see anything because of the short bonnet.
Actually watch Fimpy as he comes into the pits. We're talking about the Lambos. He's actually the only man on track without a broken windscreen. So deserves a
Actually, I don't know if that's a glitch, Jonathan.
Oh really?
Yeah, the Nizmax to me in the cockpit view looks fine, Seca fine, Wazzy fine, Gav just a very D-shaped bonnet, and Wimpy also fine.
You don't see a cracked windscreen?
No, nothing.
That's strange. All the cars with front damage have cracked glass.
Yeah, maybe it's a glitch on my side, don't know, to be honest.
Are you in the director or in the spectator? What does your screen say on the top left?
Top left, no, it just says pit monitor.
Okay. Now this one says, what director suite? There we go. I feel special.
Yeah, no, you are VIP.
Yeah, no.
You get the Nescafe Classic, I get the recoffee.
Nescafe Classic. If there's any international viewers, you'll know what that is. Rick Coffee, I'm not so sure. But basically it's not that good.
Well, I must say, it was pretty sad now when Wimpy entered the pit lane and I could see my car standing there. That's a sad sight. TnB was in the pits again.
Coming into the pits again, and that one angle I got was quite difficult to see that it's a that it's a BMW.
That's not good news. I'm hoping for a nice battle between Owazi and Seca, and this is gonna make things interesting with Gavin Owazi.
Could bring Wazzy further down the order. That gap now to Gavin is going to shrink quickly as he's stationary. Just 20 seconds at the moment. Still stationary. It's gonna, so it's coming down. Now as he gets on the move, Gavin is now 11 seconds behind. Let's have a look and see where he is.
Final corner.
Coming into the pit straight now. TnB Wazzy is leaving the pits. Excruciatingly long pit exit.
I can't tell from my time screen, Jonathan, but is Gavin still a lap down on Wazzy?
No. He is, Wazzy and Gav are separated by 6.7 seconds.
Nice. Oh, someone's off a Lambo. Is that Death Seeker?
So we're gonna have maybe a battle for first if Death Seeker can keep this up, and a battle for third.
Death Seeker just went off a little bit there when was he past him there. I haven't driven this Z4 personally, but if I look at the car with the short wheelbase, I think the handling must be actually quite good on that little car.
Seems like a very short wheelbase. Gavin going around to unlap himself from Death Seeker. He's on the move.
I see a lot of them oversteer. I think Wazzy and Nizmax are the only two people that I've noticed that actually take that last corner by far the best of everyone else. I think the rest are just braking way too late. They're struggling with the turning.
Obviously setup on these cars differs a lot from track to track, and I suppose you've got to get it right, otherwise you're going to sit with a very uncomfortable car for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's not the ideal situation.
Nizmax just went a little bit wide. Or is he having trouble with Lumpy maybe? I think so, yeah, I see the blue flags. Lumpy got 2 blue flags.
So he continues in the lead. That lead now 1.5 minutes. So seems very comfortable at this stage. And he hasn't been doing anything erratic on track that would suggest there's a mistake coming. He's
Yeah.
It's been pretty stable.
I think Wazzy and Gav's definitely gonna sweat it out. It's all gonna be obviously pace like anything else, but mistakes, especially because I see the 4 cars actually storm, so it's definitely not intermediate. And I see the track temperature is 28 degrees with 18 degrees ambient. Definitely low temperatures.
Very low temperatures. I think compared to what we saw at the start of the race.
Oh yeah.
Start of the race, we were on a very dry tarmac, and now things looking very different. So you can't just adapt to one sort of driving style in this game. It'll bite you.
Tell me, Jonathan, can you see if Wazzy has got a penalty? I also see a red marker next to him, but I can't tell what it is.
I'll tell you that in a second. Wazzy has a 10-second time penalty.
Ooh, and Gav? Still at 1 second.
Gavin just has that 1 second time penalty. So,
Okay, so
obviously whatever Gav did was not too severe, but whatever that 10 seconds is for.
oof, just saw Death Seeker going wide, and he actually almost got stuck in the gravel. I see he struggled to get his Lambo out of the gravel there. Lost a lot of time there.
It dropped a lot of time. It's almost up to 2 minutes.
Yeah. If it goes on like this, if he just needs to keep his head calm. If he can do that, he can grab the second place. But if he's gonna push too hard, Nizmax looks too much in control, to be honest. And if Death Seeker is gonna make a lot more mistakes, then Wazzy and Gav is gonna be up his rearness pretty soon.
Just to confirm a stat that I mentioned earlier, I was slightly off on it. I mentioned that that in the early 2000s, the Ferrari F1 team came to Laguna Seca to do a test, and they hold the lap record. I said it was a 108 or a 109. It was a 105.7, and it was set by Mark Chenet. So
yeah, I remember him.
The Ferrari test driver. Another driver who was a bit unlucky. He was at Ferrari at a time where Schumacher was at Ferrari. There wasn't that much space for the young and up and coming talent.
Are you talking about Mark Chenet now?
Yeah, Formula One have had a few stars pass them by without really even getting into a car.
Minardi or BAR when BAR just first started?
He had a very promising start, and then quickly signed as a test driver for Ferrari, and unfortunately that didn't bear any fruit really towards his career.
See, Seca making a lot of mistakes actually. He's losing a lot of time. I wonder if this weather is actually getting worse.
There's something not right. When the rain did start coming down, he looked quite stable, and I was still questioning if there was going to be a battle for first. But as the rain tumbles down on the Laguna Seca circuit, it just seems like he's having more and more of a difficult time.
Yeah, you can see a lot of understeer for that Lambo. Let's see what Wazzy's doing.
Wazzy now not far behind Death Seeker. This battle for second.
Yeah, if we look at the way Wazzy handles the car, it's a lot more smoother, and that's where Death Seeker is losing it. He's braking too late and entering the corner, just he's offline. So he needs to correct himself every time.
So it seems like for now Nismax is running away with it, but it seems like second is still very much in the balance. Death Seeker's in second, but now starting to battle, starting to lose time, starting to make little mistakes, and it's allowing TnB Wazzy to gain some ground. Just 23 seconds now the gap, 22 as I say that, and we know that he's bringing Gavin right along with him, because Gavin's just 4 seconds down the road.
Now, Wazzy is catching Death Seeker and Gavin is catching Wazzy, so it's definitely going to be interesting.
So with 35 minutes remaining on the clock, so the next 35 minutes could be, I think by the time we get to 10 minutes remaining, we could see something quite interesting unfold on circuit, and that's what we're hoping for.
Riding on board with Gav, he still takes that course too very nicely in these conditions.
And in these conditions, what can't be making it any easier? Is it just my imagination, or is it getting darker?
It's definitely getting darker.
Saw a car earlier. That one, there we go, Wazzy. He's got his lights on. Doesn't seem to be helping too much. Not good visibility out there, very difficult conditions. And what a way to start your Project Cars 2 career.
Yeah, and I can see there's definitely some, I think it's definitely some standing water, especially in the pit exit and in the last corner as the pit entry. There's definitely some standing water there.
Just having a look there on our official timings to have a look at the penalties. Still the same. TnB Wazzy with a 10-second time penalty, Gavin with a 1-second time penalty. So if TnB Wazzy wants to hold on to that third place, he also needs to make sure that Gavin is more than 10 seconds behind him. Well, Gavin has 1, 2, so 9 seconds in front of him. See a lot of blue flags now for Wimpy. Coming up on the screen there. Let's have a look where he is.
It looks like...
Going up the hill.
Behind Death Seeker. Yes, oh! Death Seeker goes wide, he takes it.
And that came up a lot quicker than I actually expected it to. Thought we'd see it unfold in the next 20 minutes or so, but
it's exactly that.
He's caught up and he's passed him. Now
Death Seeker is losing time.
Let's follow Death Seeker and watch that gap. We know Gavin was not far behind, and there Gavin is. 4 seconds. Call it 3.5 now, lost half a second through the Andretti hairpin. So something just not feeling right at this point in the race.
Death Seeker is definitely struggling, but Gavin is catching rapidly, and Roger's just putting away. He obviously needs to put away as fast as much as he can with that 10-second penalty he's got. Death Seeker goes wide again.
That's going to allow Gavin to go through into third. So now Death Seeker finds himself in fourth from a once very promising second place. And that's why we always say there's a long time to go and it's endurance racing and things change very quickly.
I think he is punishing himself mentally, and that's why he's making mistakes. Trying to be quicker, but just losing it. Yeah, but second race in a row, Jonathan. Sorry, go
no problem. Second race in a row, you were saying?
Second race in a row, we actually have quite a lot of action. Obviously, the first one is just we didn't know what's going to happen with second place as well. It's not with a lot of runners, but it's interesting. Good with interesting racing.
Definitely. It will be interesting to actually see this game with a full grid and everything that would unfold, because I've seen it with 8 cars on the grid, and it can be quite intense. I mean, we lost 3 runners in the opening laps.
See, Death Seeker is pitting, so obviously he's got some damage.
I think for some of the guys it's quite difficult coming from F1 to this. It's obviously completely different. I mean, if you're thinking about F1 and you're thinking about a pit stop, you're thinking you need a gap of 25 seconds. And over here we talk about pit stops that, well, you could sit there for a lot longer than a minute.
Definitely.
And coming from F1, a lot of the guys fight for track position more than you would in an endurance race.
Yeah, that's exactly what endurance races is, to see how long you can last, basically. The thing is what I've noticed, a lot of people within the different disciplines that we race is actually a lot of people are more comfortable with the different disciplines. Like Death Seeker is more comfortable in this than with F1. It's the same with Captain Isaac, races with us in F1 as well. He's also much better in Gran Turismo. He's much more comfortable there
in Gran Turismo than in F1.
Yeah.
Obviously different games, and like I mentioned earlier, different mechanics to each game, and each car feels different, and you're gonna find the one that suits you best.
Looks like I'm the jack of all trades, but the master of none.
Well, the jack of all trades is not yet today.
Yeah.
It's missing in action, but when he comes back, he's gonna spice this championship up.
Yeah,
He's
I think
quick.
I'm actually quite excited to see Muna back.
He's quick across all formats. That's why he's a risk in all 3 championships. Just needs to get that internet sorted. And that's coming from me. My stream's cut twice.
Welcome to South Africa.
If you happen to be watching from anywhere else, this is the third world. I don't think we're doing too badly.
No, I think the most important thing, Jonathan, is we enjoy ourselves. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. It's all about having fun.
Trying to check out this gap between Gav and Wazzy. Seems like Wazzy is starting to pull away slowly but surely.
It's up to 10 seconds now. Just waiting for that to tick over from 9.9 to 10. So he's got that gap up to 10 seconds. See if he can just maintain that gap. He needs to keep it at this level. Remember, he's got that penalty. Drops again to 9 seconds. So in a danger zone. You won't want to finish with the gap looking like that.
Let's also remember that Wazzy and Gav are actually teammates. So it's good for the constructors for them.
It's a great result for the constructors, and well, Audi's going to get another win.
Yeah.
But it will be good to see more than 2 competitors with points.
Yes. See, the lights are starting to switch on. Definitely getting darker. Nismax pits. This, I don't know if he's just refueling. Maybe change. I don't know if he changed tires or anything. But if this is a long pit stop, then it's a danger zone for him against Wazzy and Gav.
Let's have a look at this. He did have. He did actually have a lot of fuel when he came in. So I don't think it would be a fuel stop. Well, he's coming out of the pits now. He hasn't put any fuel in that car. So it wasn't for fuel. I didn't see tires come off. So maybe he got a bit of damage and decided to come in and get it sorted out.
Yeah, maybe just before he makes any more mistakes, since he's got a time for it. Gap down to basically 26 seconds.
He's got the time for it, and it's obviously not the ideal conditions to be running around if your car's not ideal. So probably go get that sorted out. And if you notice that gap between Nismax and Wazzy, it's a problem I had several times last week, where the gap comes down considerably, and then I read it out on screen, and then it changes before my eyes, because it was 25 seconds if I remember correctly. It's now a minute.
Yes.
A
1
minute,
minute 38.
1 minute 38. So
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
I did that a few times last week, so I think maybe just a bit of a.
Maybe we should have a
bit of
tag outwards.
a bit of a lag there on the working it out.
Timing.
When you come out of the pits, it seems to not take if somebody's been lapped into account. It just takes how far they are behind on circuit for that until you get to the first sector, and then it registers that you're a lap behind. It's quite peculiar.
Yeah, I got confused there as well. I actually got excited.
I didn't think he was in the pits for that long. I was rather confused where 2.5 minutes went. Visibility here from the trackside camera just looks even worse. Not sure if it is worse or if it's just the lighting that's making it worse.
If I look at the wind's up by about 3 kilometers per hour.
Looks
It
like a
was
lot of...
18 up 20. Yeah, it's actually a big change.
Where do you see all that?
Mine gives me the track conditions on the top right.
Okay, mine doesn't do that. Not even getting exactly the same what I had last week. Last week it said the driver name and the team that he drove for. Now it just gives me the driver name.
Yeah, I remember, so we're not running that online championship mode anymore because we couldn't add any more drivers.
Oh yes, I see.
It locked everything. It was working perfectly. That's the only downside I could see for running that mode. I couldn't add any drivers.
Couldn't add anyone who wanted to join later on.
Yeah, so we just stuck with the custom lobby.
As you can see, I haven't been following the chat.
Our chats are not exactly the easiest to follow.
No, they're not the easiest to follow. There's usually 40 or 50 messages of utter crap, and then something important in the middle there somewhere. And
luckily we have got our info.
if you miss that little one, but the important stuff will be in the info group.
Nice backfire there from Wazzy's car. I just think maybe... Oh, Wazzy spinning out. Oh, it doesn't look like he touched the barrier. But definitely gonna bring Gavin. Just watch out for him.
I was waiting to see if there was going to be any contact there. Seems to have gotten past without... I don't know if it was just my imagination, but I did see something fly across screen. I don't know if it was a piece of carbon fiber, a piece of bodywork.
No,
Let's
I just
hope
saw a board. I think it was a marker board from... Was it marker board or something?
It may have been that time on the trackside camera, so it was a bit of distance, but I just saw something fly in the background.
This is gonna be interesting for the next 20 minutes.
Now that
But
battle...
like I was saying, I was thinking that BMW should actually upgrade Wazzy's headlights because they actually look very dumb. Like a yellowish color, but then I look at actually at maybe it's the team power puff of Wazzy and Gav. Both have yellow lights.
I actually think whoever made those lights deserves a shout out. Because they're still working perfectly considering the shape of the bonnet.
Yeah, point taken.
I mean, how those lights haven't broken at this point is rather impressive.
Gavin's engine is running nice and cool. Nesmac's even in better condition. Wazzy's basically the same as Nesmac's. Seca, not too bad. No, the engine conditions looks good. See all of them running in the 80s and 90s. Mine was running just before it blew in 140 degrees.
Well, now Seca getting into the 90s as well. And just dropping back into the 80s. So it seems like everybody's got it under control. And I wonder if it's also... I wonder if the weather conditions can impact the overheating of the car.
It also depends on your radiator duct openings and stuff like that, because the more you have open, the more airflow you have, but then obviously the more drag you have as well.
More drag it creates, because all that air goes into a pocket and slows you down.
Yes. Same with the brake ducts as well. But it looks like the reliability of all these cars, it should last.
Would it be safe to say that maybe in an endurance race you don't need to go for the outright fastest setup, but something in between fast and
Yes, it's finding that
comfortable for
sweet
the car
spot.
over distance.
Yeah. Yes, you can. I would say even if you run maybe say 100, maybe 110 degrees, maybe for then you can even go for a 3-hour endurance, depending on track, obviously, and in conditions.
We've
Actually, was he
had,
Gav?
I completed a 3-hour endurance. I believe it was on GTS a while back. And I completed it, and I was basically James Hunt. I've done it, I'm done.
No, I love endurance racing. It's something completely different. It's not to say that it's easier than the other disciplines. It's just getting used to the discipline. This
Well,
the way the strategy and everything works is just completely
I
different.
have ADD. It hasn't left me since
You know
childhood.
me.
So sitting on the same spot of the couch with the controller, nah. Commentary,
No,
it's okay. I get up, I walk around. I'm not sitting here the whole time. That's why there's no camera.
no. With the with the GeForce Sim rig, I'm more than happy. You can go for 5-hour endurance races, and you know I've done one.
If there was a camera, I'd probably get censored for
See, was this at the
alcohol
back?
consumption.
Was this at the back of Gavin there? These two will race hard, as I know them. Ooh, nice backfire from Wazzy's BM.
They will
As long
race
as they
hard.
don't take each other out.
It's just nerve-wracking
Oh,
conditions.
Wazzy loses.
Why
I
does he
think
lose
Wazzy
with it?
he touched the curve there.
Seems like
I
it's a
think that's the curve
bit of a sausage curve. Take too much of it and it can take you around. These conditions, you don't want to be on the curbs.
This match taking it easy, very easy.
You know, this track opened in 1950, I don't know, 1950 something, and it was pretty much the same layout as it is now, but it was originally paved.
Sure. Okay.
The entire length of the circuit was paved. So you can just imagine that with these modern cars.
Oh, okay.
I imagine it can be quite loud.
Yeah, disturbing actually.
And tire wear would be on a different level.
Significant. Yeah, definitely. And because they didn't have the technologies those days, obviously, than the tires of these days. One thing I want to mention, if I look at Wazzy's braking, if you look at this trackside cam, you see him braking. I see something at his right tire. I don't know if it's brakes overheating or something, but if you see, once he starts braking, you can see something going there. It like flashes. I don't know if you can see it as well, Jonathan.
Is that on Wazzy?
On Wazzy, yeah, on his front right.
Let's have a look. I'm looking at his front
When
left at the moment. Oh, there.
I think it's maybe just it's just a spray of water or something.
Well, I saw what you were describing, but not on the wheel you were describing it on. I actually saw that same thing on the front left, just briefly illuminating, and then.
It's the same on Gav's car actually. I think it's water spray actually. Oh yeah, same on everybody's car. No, that's just my bad. I just
could be the headlights just catching the spray, or
yeah, it can be. Oh, Nismax loses it, catches it, then no damage. You must just take it easy.
So, can you confirm on your screen Nismax is driving with his lights off?
No, mine is on.
All the cars have their headlights on, but Nismax for some reason is showing me his lights are off.
I was just making a lot of mistakes. I don't know if track conditions. Okay, I see track temperature dropped actually. Maybe that's contributing to. Oh,
Gavin's made a mistake at that final corner. It's allowed Wazzy to go back into second place. So a bit of comedy of errors between second and third now. Keep on handing the position over to the next guy. Seems like nobody wants to finish in second. Difficult conditions. But,
I can see actually.
Somebody's after that third place.
I think everybody's struggling with that because like Nismax made a mistake, and just of that Wazzy and Gav. Death Seeker also makes the odd mistake. Wimpy, yeah, he's been making mistakes the whole race actually.
On your side, is the track temperature still cooling?
Yeah, it actually track temperature dropped by 2 degrees.
Suppose now just 12 minutes remaining in the race. Don't suppose we're going to have a changing conditions, even if it did stop raining, which it's still coming down
like
hard from
rain,
that.
Looks like,
I just got a camera angle where I saw a lot of raindrops. I was about to say it seems to be calming down on the rainfall side of things, but if the track's that cool and there's no sunlight, I don't see how the track could dry up.
Yeah, not raining anymore, just your random drops every now and then. I must give a big shout out to the developers of Project Cars. These dynamic weather is one of the best I've seen.
After an eventful race from Gavin, he's in a good position at the moment.
Like I said, anything can change in Enduro. He was running last and he was lapped by a couple of guys. So very good comeback.
Soon we'll be at the 10-minute marker. Then we'll have a sprint here for second place. In the last 10 minutes, or are the guys just going to be desperately trying to keep the cars on circuit?
I can't see any penalties pending for Wimpy. Can you show Jonathan?
Have a look. No penalties for Wimpy, from what I can see. I know earlier he got a drive-through.
Yeah, I think.
And I hope he served it. Should have experience from his previous race.
Well, I can already see an improvement in Wimpy's racecraft. And he's not trying to take people out, or he makes their mistakes, but he's definitely improving. I think it's just a learning curve that will get better and better.
And this is a game. This is a game that requires patience. You know,
Yes.
It's probably the closest I've seen to a real racing simulator, and it can be unforgiving compared to other games, and it's definitely not an arcade racer.
Nope.
So it's quite the opposite.
They say this is the closest and the best simulator across all platforms, closest to the real thing. I know a lot of people refer to iRacing actually. They say that's the best simulator on any platform.
Okay.
But a lot of pro drivers actually practice on that as well.
Apparently it's only available on PC.
Yes. Like I was saying, Wimpy is like the rookie in all of the leagues we run. Actually, he's the rookie of all. So all he can do is just get better. You should just keep a calm head and go for it. Just okay, as I said, he makes a mistake, but like I said, he doesn't. As far as I know, he didn't write anybody off, and he gets out of the way of his blue flag, so he's trying.
I think something major is, like we've mentioned a few times already today. The guys need to remember the difference between the formats, and when it's an endurance race, don't try and race it like a sprint race. It's two very different things, and sometimes it's better to maintain a gap than go for a gap and risk damage, rather just stay there and put pressure on the guy in front of you and make him make the mistake.
That's it. You can see Nismax flashing lights for Gavin to make way for the blue flag. This can allow Wazzy to catch up a little bit. The three of them, they're going through the corkscrew. I think Wazzy still needs to make up that 10 seconds, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Gav even.
He's got that 10-second gap. 10-second penalty. Gavin also has a 1-second penalty next to his name, so more like 9 seconds. Can work on 9 seconds, but
9 seconds, 6 minutes.
For the time being, he's 2.1. Am I wrong? Sorry about that. Looking at the wrong thing. Too much information on my screen. So at the moment, Wazzy is right behind Gavin, just half a second. So he needs to get past him, and if he wants to keep second, he needs to build a gap of at least 9 seconds.
Wazzy right in the tail. Oh, going to the inside.
Seems like he's got him on the inside. Gavin's gone wide.
Gavin's wide.
I didn't see any contact. There wasn't a push. He obviously just ran out of room. Got 2 wheels off the track, and
that might just be the gap for make up that 9 seconds now. Got a good head start now with Gav running wide.
Keep an eye on that gap. It's 1.8 seconds at the moment. Nismax leads the race by 2.5 minutes. So dominant performance, definitely.
I can confirm the forecast now. It's just a light cloud for the rest of the race.
Surely no one will stop at this point. 5 minutes remaining.
No, I think there's still a little bit of, especially at the inside of the curves. You can see there's standing water there. Still at the pit exit and pit entry.
Just watching TnB Wazzy go down the straight, and you can see the wet track glistening off from the headlights. Doesn't look dry to me, so I think they'll finish on this set of tyres. Just keeping an eye on that gap to Gavin, and crucially he's keeping it. It's 1.4 seconds. So not sure if he's aware of the penalties. And as I say, that Wazzy's run wide, and that allows Gavin to go through, and as Gavin goes through, he loses it, goes off the circuit, gets back on. What has it done to the gap? Well, the gap is currently at a second flat.
Headlight out for Gav on my screen. Looks like these two teammates like to play ping pong, Jonathan.
And the famous words of a certain German driver. Who drives a certain red car. I don't want to say anything. F1 drivers can be quite touchy these days.
Two words. Did you see what
Don't want to mention any.
Kimi, right?
Any
Kimi
spectacular?
Raikkonen's
I don't want to
mindset.
mention any spectacular tactics from the third place red car. I don't want to suggest any. Actually, his teammate's not in a red car, so you can't make that excuse.
Dev just needs to watch out not to lose the other headlight, otherwise he's gonna have a very difficult time. I still see some drizzling actually, as the headlight goes through the track.
Not a circuit that's very well lit up. A lot of dark places on this circuit. Very few. Not a lot of lighting.
Gav runs wide.
Gav runs heavily wide, catches it, gets back on circuit. Let's watch that gap. How much is that gonna help? Still going up just slightly. Gonna wait for it to stabilize. Keeps going up, so maybe just not getting the best momentum. Currently at 5.5 seconds. We know it needs to be a very minimum of 9. Just make sure that nothing's changed on that penalty screen. Still the same. 10 seconds for Wazzy, 1 second for Gav. Ferrari does sound good. Sounds a lot better than earlier on in the race. Mechanics did a good job. As he now runs wide there, goes over the gravel, that's not going to help his gap. It was increasing nicely, now it's going to fall just a little bit. 6.5, closer to 6 now. Just 1 minute remaining now of this 1.5 hour endurance. It's all coming down to these last few moments. TnB Wazzy currently in second. He's got a gap of 7 seconds down to Gavin. It's not going to be enough. He needs to increase it up to at least 9 so that he can keep that second place. He's got a penalty. We've spoken a lot about our top 3, but in 4th place, still doing a good job. Found himself in second at the beginning of this race for quite a long time, then had a few errors and finds himself down in 4th. I think he'll be happy to finish there.
I think he'll be disappointed, to be honest, because that feeling of, you got second place and you got good pace. And then
just watching Nismax now, because it's 1 second to go on the clock. So now when he crosses the line, that should be the race. He leads by 2.5 minutes. He hasn't made many mistakes, and the few that he's made haven't really impacted his race.
No, I think overall very solid race for him.
Only did one unnecessary pit stop that I saw, and maybe it wasn't an unnecessary pit stop and I don't know what he was doing, but it was a pit stop that he didn't put on tyres or put on fuel. He came in and obviously repaired something. If he didn't do that, his lead would have probably been 3.5 minutes.
And he's gonna take the second win in a row. Third will make it a good hat-trick.
That's right, around the final corner, goes over the start-finish line for the last time, and he's gonna win Season 1 Round 2 at Laguna Seca, and he's gonna get some points on the board. He's gonna increase that lead in the championship, and it's good for Audi as well.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, I couldn't back him up there. But nonetheless, good results. Why does he take second?
Seems like everybody
It's the
going
same as
around. Everybody going around slowly.
I see the Lambo's still going. Oh, Wimpy almost looks like he's got suspension damage. Just finished the race, Wimpy. Oh, good effort by the two Lambos. Not bad at all. They finished. Their sequel could have had that podium, like you said.
Also got to bear in mind these changing conditions today. It couldn't have been easy. And
Yeah,
we
definitely.
might have had a very different race if it had been dry. So it was a great race. I enjoyed it. Hour and a half of
Yeah.
action. A lot of fun there at the end between second and third. Who was going to take it? And but that's how it looks after an hour and a half. You got Nismax. He won the race in dominating form and increases his championship lead. TnB he finished second. Not a bad result. Debuting in Project Cars tonight. So he'll get his first points on the championship table. Gavin in third. Also going to get his first points on the championship table. So good feeling to just get off the mark. Then Seca, he got fourth place. Looked like he was having a stronger race at one point, but that's where he landed up. And then fifth place for Vimpy. Also, I think he'll be relatively happy with that result. It was one of the drivers that's still learning. And then obviously they're in sixth place. Not sure why it's classified, but TnB DW, he retired on lap 3 with a blown engine. And that's why he's sitting in the commentary box with me.
At least it's nice and warm here.
Well, it should be warm in your car too. Shouldn't break the windscreen. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna say our goodbyes. We'll be back next week. Next week Tuesday, same time, 8 o'clock. And we'll see you then. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.